I wasn't even invited to my own sister's wedding, yeah, the one I helped pay for. She told me I didn't match the vibe she was going for. But that smug smile of hers didn't last long, not when the venue pulled the plug on everything last minute and the reason why hit her like a freight train. I still remember the exact moment I found out. It wasn't a call, a casual mention, or even some mix-up in the mail. Nope. I found out the same way someone stumbles on a party they were never supposed to know about, on social media. There it was, a picture of the invitation. Real fancy, too, gold embossed letters sitting pretty on white satin. The caption underneath read, "The countdown begins. Can't wait to celebrate with all my loved ones on the most special day of my life." All her loved ones, except me. At first, I figured it had to be a mistake. Maybe my invite just got lost somewhere along the way. Maybe she meant to tell me in person and hadn't gotten around to it yet. After all, I'd spent half a year jumping through hoops to make sure her wedding turned out just like she imagined. When they were low on funds, I put down the deposit for the venue. When Mom and Dad hesitated about the catering, I stepped up and covered the advance. I even gave her money for the dress, though funny enough, I never actually saw it. As I scrolled through the comments on that post, my stomach started to knot. Everyone was chiming in, friends, co-workers, distant cousins. All gushing about how excited they were to be part of the big day. One person even joked about how exclusive the guest list must have been. Exclusive. That's when the sick feeling crept in and settled. I shot her a message. Nothing angry or over the top. Just a quick, "Hey, I saw your post. I never got an invite. Could it have gotten lost?" I stared at my phone, waiting for those 3 little dots to pop up. They never did. An hour passed. Then another. By the time night rolled in, I'd half convinced myself I was being dramatic. Maybe she was just busy. Maybe she forgot to respond. Then, at exactly 10:34 p.m., my phone lit up with a text. From her. "Hey. I was gonna talk to you about this." She wrote, "I hope you understand, but we had to make some hard decisions about the guest list. It's a very curated event, you know. We wanted to keep things elegant. No offense, but, you don't really fit the vibe." She ended it with, "I know you'll be happy for me from afar. Love you. Curated event. Don't fit the vibe. Be happy from afar." I read those words over and over before it really sunk in. I wasn't overlooked. I was cut out, on purpose. And deep down, I knew exactly why. I wasn't like her friends, the ones with perfect nails, slick suits, and fake laughs made for rooftop cocktail hours. I didn't have a shiny job title or talk about stocks and startups over brunch. I ran an auto repair shop. A damn good one, too. Especially since I worked mostly on high-end cars. But none of that mattered to my family. To them, I wasn't a real businessman. I was just the guy who fixed engines. The one who smelled like oil and whose hands were always roughed up from work. My sister never said it outright, but she looked down on me for it. In her mind, success meant sitting behind a desk, not under the hood of a car. Every family dinner, I'd see it in her face, that little twitch in her nose when I came in still in my work gear. The way she introduced me to her friends with a half laugh, "Oh, my brother. He just runs some car shop." Like I was something she had to explain away. And now, after everything I'd done to help her, she went and edited me right out of her picture-perfect wedding. I'd helped bankroll the whole thing, and somehow still wasn't good enough to stand in the crowd. Honestly, I should have seen it coming. This wasn't the first time they made me feel like I didn't belong. There were signs, years of them. Snide remarks at dinner. Backhanded compliments about my shop. Like when my sister got a promotion at her marketing firm, my parents nearly burst with pride. But when I opened a second bay at the shop, barely a nod. Still, I never held it against them. Not really. Anytime they needed something, I showed up. No hesitation. When my sister dreamed of a big wedding but didn't have the budget, I stepped up without being asked. I paid the deposit. I fronted the catering money. Even chipped in for her dress. Never once asked for a thank you. I remember one night, she was swirling wine at my parents' place and whining, "You know how expensive weddings are." I joked, "If you want something nice, you gotta pay for it." She rolled her eyes. "Easy for you to say," she said. "You don't have student loans. You don't have to look professional. You wear the same boots every day." That's her in a nutshell. Everything's about the image. Never mind that I built my shop from scratch, worked 60-hour weeks, and took care of the people who worked for me. That didn't matter to her. To her, I was just a guy with calloused hands and working man problems. Still, when she needed help, I never hesitated. When she and her fiancé hit a financial wall, I wired the money. No questions asked. I kept telling myself I was doing it for the family, not for thanks, not for credit. But here I was, shut out of the wedding like I didn't even exist. That night, after reading her message, I couldn't sleep a wink. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, running through everything that had happened over the past few months. I kept wondering, at what point did she decide I wasn't worthy of showing up? Was it the day I came straight to a family get-together from the garage, still wearing my work uniform? Was it when she introduced me to her high society friends with that dismissive, "This is my brother. He works with cars," like I was just some guy who pumps gas and swaps out tires on the side of the road? Or maybe she'd always seen me that way. Next morning, I got in my truck and headed to my parents' house. I didn't call ahead. I didn't knock. I just walked in. I wanted to hear what they said when they didn't know I was listening. The second I stepped through the door, I heard my mom's voice coming from the kitchen. "Well, you know how he is," she said, that familiar tone of quiet shame dripping off every word. The kind I'd grown used to over the years. Then my sister chimed in, her voice sharp and sure. "I just don't want him embarrassing me. It's going to be a classy event," she said. "Sophisticated." And then she dropped the hammer, "I can't have him showing up looking like he just crawled out from under a car." I clenched my jaw. "He's still family," my dad mumbled from somewhere nearby, but even he didn't sound like he fully believed what he was saying. "Exactly," my sister snapped, "and he should understand that this isn't about him. I don't need him there making people feel awkward. He doesn't belong in that kind of setting." That was enough. I pushed the door open and stepped into the kitchen. The air got thick real fast. My sister's face turned pale, and my mom suddenly found it very important to stir a pot that clearly didn't need stirring. "So this is how you really feel?" I asked, keeping my voice level. My sister paused, then pulled her shoulders back. "Don't take it personal," she said. "It's just not your kind of crowd." "Not my kind of crowd?" I repeated, crossing my arms. "Oh, come on," she huffed. "You know what I mean. It's all corporate people, executives, lawyers. People who network. You wouldn't have much to talk about." "Right. Because I don't spend my days in an office, pushing paperwork and sipping lattes, I must not be smart enough to hold a conversation." "I never said that," she shot back, fast, but her expression said everything she wouldn't. My mom sighed and gave me that soft, pitying look. "Sweetheart, it's just a different kind of gathering," she said gently. "You have to admit, you do come off a little rough sometimes. You're always in those work clothes, and, well, you don't exactly carry yourself like her guests." I stayed calm. "I run my own business," I said. "And I earn more than half the people on that guest list. But since I don't show up in a tie, that makes me what? Less than?" My sister groaned like I was being unreasonable. "It's not about money," she insisted. "It's about the image. Look, you really helped with the wedding and I appreciate that, I do, but this is my day. I need everything to be just right. And honestly, I just don't think you'd fit in. And there it was. The truth, raw and simple. It didn't matter that I had stepped in every time she overspent. Didn't matter that I'd covered her costs or saved her from going into debt. To them, I was just the blue-collar brother. The grease monkey. The guy you hide in the background. I let out a breath and nodded. Got it. My mom jumped in quickly. Oh, don't be like that. After the honeymoon, we'll have a nice little family dinner. Just us. That'll be more your speed. I gave her a tight smile, but it wasn't out of warmth. You're right, I said, grabbing my keys from the counter. That would be more my style. Because in my world, when someone does something for you, you don't turn around and treat them like dirt. Then I walked out, not giving them a chance to say another word. As I was driving back to the shop, my phone buzzed with a new message. It was from my sister. Don't make this a big deal, okay? You know I love you. Hope you can still help with the final payment for the cake, it's due Friday. XO. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. I laughed so hard I had to pull over on the side of the road. She really thought I was still gonna pay. Like I'd just swallow the insult, like always. Like I hadn't changed. But I had. By the time I parked in front of my shop, I knew exactly what I was gonna do. For years, I'd been their fallback guy. The one they called when things went sideways. The one who never said no, even when it cost me more than just money. I convinced myself that's just what family does. You help. You show up. You sacrifice. But this? This was different. This was the line they crossed. She didn't just take my money, she took it while acting like I was beneath her. She accepted every single check, every wire transfer, every dollar I scraped together to make her day perfect. But when it came time to treat me like family in front of her upscale friends, suddenly, I didn't make the cut. And then she had the gall to text me about a damn wedding cake, like nothing ever happened. I'd been played. Not anymore. I pulled out my phone and typed out a reply. Sorry. Wouldn't want to ruin the aesthetic by being associated with your wedding. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Good luck. No emojis. No fluff. Just the facts. It didn't take long. 5 minutes later, her name lit up my phone. I let it ring. She called again. Then my mom. Then my dad. By the time I locked up that night, I had 12 missed calls. Next morning, I woke up to a flood of messages. Sis, what do you mean you're not paying? The cake's already ordered. Sis. You can't just back out, we're counting on you. That was from Mom. Then came another message. Sweetheart. Don't be spiteful. This is all just a big misunderstanding. And finally, let's talk. That one was signed by Dad. We raised you better than this. I stared at my screen, shaking my head in disbelief. Not a single one of them said they were sorry. Not one. No, we didn't mean to hurt you. No, we understand how you feel. Just expectations. Just the same old assumption that I'd keep playing my part like I always did, quiet, dependable, and willing. So I called my sister. She picked up on the first ring. Oh my God, finally, she blurted, like I was the one who had gone missing. Look, I don't know what's gotten into you, but you're acting insane. You already said you'd pay, so. I changed my mind, I cut in. There was a beat of silence. Then, what? I said, I repeated slowly, I changed my mind. I'm not giving you another cent. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. You're kidding, right? You're seriously gonna screw me over like this? Her voice pitched up into a screech. I chuckled. Screw you over. You mean like the way you left me off the guest list because I didn't fit the vibe? Or maybe you're talking about how you and Mom sat around bad-mouthing me like I was some greasy embarrassment to the family. That kind of screwing over. She huffed. Oh my God, that's not the same thing. That was just about keeping appearances. Yeah. You didn't mean it in a bad way. Because it felt pretty bad, I said, my tone flat. But this? This is different, she went on. This is actual money. Real responsibility. And that's not my problem anymore, I replied, calm as ever. You made it clear you didn't want me at your wedding. So I'm giving you exactly what you wanted. I'm staying out of it. She snapped, ugh, don't be so dramatic. You're just throwing a fit because you didn't get an invitation. I let out a slow breath through my nose, keeping the heat in my voice locked down. You really don't get it, do you? I said. You think this is about the invite? That's not what stings. What gets me is how you used me. How you treated me like an ATM while still looking down on me. Oh, please, she scoffed. You've got plenty of money. You won't even miss it. And there it was. Not gratitude. Not even a shred of guilt. Just entitlement. Raw, shameless greed. You're right, I said coldly. I've got plenty. And none of it's going to you. Not anymore. Not ever again. Wait, she started, but I ended the call before she could finish. I was done. For real this time. She didn't reach out again that week, but my parents sure did. They were relentless. By Saturday, the guilt trips came in waves. She's under so much pressure, Mom pleaded. Can't you just cover this one last thing? It's already been planned, Dad added. What's a few $1,000 to you? Family helps family, Mom kept repeating, like she thought if she said it enough times, it would magically erase the past. That's when I'd finally had enough. Family helps family, I repeated, almost laughing. That's funny. Where were you when I was pulling 16-hour shifts just to get my business off the ground? Where was the help when I was scraping together cash to pay rent on my first shop? Or when I footed the bill for half of her wedding and you all still treated me like trash? Silence. You guys can figure this out, I said. I'm done. Then I hung up and blocked every number. Let them panic for once. Truth be told, I didn't expect total silence, not from my sister, not from my parents, and definitely not from all the relatives who have been treating me like a bottomless wallet for years. I figured I'd get a few desperate calls. Maybe some guilt-laced threats dressed up as, you'll regret this, or, you're being selfish. But for 2 whole days, nothing. That's when it hit me, they weren't ignoring me because they were mad. They were scrambling, trying to patch the hole left by the money they assumed would always be there. They were trying to reverse engineer a solution after building everything on the belief that I'd always show up, no matter how badly they treated me. Then, on the 3rd day, my mother walked into my shop. She didn't text. Didn't call. Just barged right in like she had stock in the place. Her eyes darted around at the cars up on lifts, at my guys moving around the bays, tools clanking and air compressors humming. I wiped my hands on a rag and folded my arms. Something wrong? I asked. We need to talk, she said tightly. I motioned toward my office. Go ahead. She walked in, sat across from my desk, and laced her fingers together like she was holding in a speech. She looked uncomfortable as hell, like she didn't belong here. Like the whole space made her uneasy. I took my time lowering myself into the chair across from her. I wanted her to sit in that discomfort for a minute. Your sister's in trouble, she finally said. I raised an eyebrow. Oh yeah? Don't act like you don't already know, she snapped. I don't, I said, leaning back in my chair. But I've got a feeling you're about to fill me in. She exhaled sharply, like she was the one who had been wronged. Like she was the one who had the right to be upset. The bakery won't release the cake unless they get the rest of the payment. The venue's threatening to cancel the whole reception if she doesn't square up what's left. And she still owes money to the florist. I didn't say a word. The wedding's 2 weeks away, my mom continued, leaning forward like that would make me care more. She doesn't have the money. She can't cover this alone. Well, that's a shame, I said, keeping my face neutral. She blinked, like she couldn't quite process that I wasn't jumping in to save the day. You have the money, she said slowly, like she was talking to a toddler who didn't know what sharing meant. You could help her. You wouldn't even feel it. I gave her a long, quiet smile. And yet, here we are. Her nostrils flared. Stop being petty. You agreed to pay, and she made plans based on that. You can't just back out now. I tilted my head. Kind of like how she planned a whole guest list that didn't include me. Funny how that works, isn't it? That's not the same thing. It's exactly the same, I said. She made a decision. And now I've made mine. She wanted a wedding without me in it. Cool. That means she doesn't need my money either. For God's sake, Mom muttered, rubbing her temples like I was giving her the headache. I waited. I figured she'd start pulling out the usual guilt lines, how I was raised better, how families supposed to stick together, how holding grudges was beneath me. But she didn't. Instead, she took a slow breath and straightened her back. If you don't help, she'll have to downgrade everything. It'll be humiliating. People are going to talk. I let out a short laugh. Ah, now we're getting to the real issue. Her face hardened. It's not just about appearances, she said, clearly offended I'd even suggest such a thing. She deserves a beautiful wedding. She deserves whatever kind of wedding she can actually afford, I corrected. And clearly, that's not the one she planned. Her lips pressed into a tight line. So that's it. You're just going to sit back and let your sister fall apart. She's not falling apart, I said calmly. She's learning a lesson. One that's been long overdue. My mom stared at me for a long moment, her face unreadable. Then she stood, adjusted her purse strap, and smoothed her blouse like she was prepping for a job interview. You'll regret this, she said coldly. I shrugged. Maybe. She didn't say anything else. Just turned and walked out. And honestly, I felt nothing but relief. Over the next few days, I started seeing the cracks in my sister's perfect plan. First came a vague post on Facebook. It's so hard when the people you count on let you down, but I guess that's life, right? I didn't react. Then I got a call from one of our cousins. Dude, what's going on? Your sister's losing her mind. She said you bailed on the wedding money. That's right, I said plainly. But, why? Because she didn't invite me. Silence. Then a slow, oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that. The next day, I got a text from her. Sister, can we talk? I waited about an hour before replying. Me, talk about what? Sister, I don't want things to be like this between us. Can we meet for coffee? I nearly laughed. Now she didn't want things to be like this. The same sister who made it crystal clear I wasn't welcome at the biggest day of her life because I didn't match the vibe. She didn't mind then. She only minded now, because things were falling apart. Still, curiosity got the better of me. So I said yes. When I showed up at the coffee shop, she was already there, clicking her manicured nails against her cup. She gave me a soft smile. Hey. Hey, I said, sitting across from her. She let out this dramatic sigh. Look, I know you're upset. I'm not upset, I said, cutting her off. I'm just finally seeing things clearly. Her brows pulled together. What's that supposed to mean? It means I get how this works now. I'm useful when you need something. But the second I don't fit into your little curated world, I'm disposable. That's not fair, she said. Isn't it, though? I leaned back in my chair. You didn't think I was good enough to be part of your wedding, but you had no issue taking my money. Can't have it both ways. She looked down. I wanted everything to be perfect, and I didn't think you'd care. Well, I said, now you know I do. She hesitated. If I invite you now, will you help? I smiled. Then I stood up. Enjoy your wedding, sis, I said. But you'll have to figure it out without me. Then I walked out. The morning of her wedding, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. No stress. No guilt. No obligations. Just peace. For once, I wasn't scrambling to solve a crisis or throw money at some last-minute disaster. I wasn't invited, and for the first time in forever, I didn't care. I really didn't. But apparently, the family still cared, at least about my wallet. At exactly 11:27 a.m., my phone rang. It was Mom. I let it go. At 11:42, Dad tried. Same deal. Then, at 12:03, I got a text from my cousin. Cousin, bro, you're not gonna believe this. The venue just kicked them out. I stared at the screen for a moment. And then I laughed, out loud. What a mess. Thing is, I warned them. I gave them every opportunity to clean it up, to fix things before it all came crashing down. But my sister? She just figured someone would swoop in at the last minute and save the day. Except no one did. Without that final payment, the venue pulled the plug. Locked the doors. Literally. Guests showed up dressed to the nines, suits, cocktail dresses, and stood around outside, confused and awkward, while the wedding planner scrambled to come up with some kind of explanation. And my sister? She completely lost it. That elaborate 5-tier cake she wouldn't shut up about. Never showed up. The fancy florals. Cancelled. The high-end, high-profile wedding she had been bragging about for months. Gone in an instant. At 1:15 p.m., my phone rang. It was her. I picked up. What? I answered, my voice flat as concrete. Are you happy now? She screeched. I leaned back in my chair, half smiling. Happy about what? You know exactly what, she snapped. The wedding is ruined. Completely ruined. Oh, I said casually, let me guess, ran out of money. You knew we didn't have enough, she screamed. You were supposed to help. You promised. I chuckled. No, you assumed. Silence. You let me fail, she said finally, her voice trembling. No, I replied. You failed all by yourself. And right then, something in her cracked. I don't understand, she whispered, sounding more lost than angry now. Why couldn't you just help me? After everything we've been through. After everything I've done. Everything you've done. I repeated, my patience worn thin. Like what? Like using me for years. Like taking my money with zero hesitation. Like tossing me aside the second I wasn't convenient for you anymore. I didn't mean it like that, she mumbled. You never do, I said, my voice colder than ever. That's the whole damn problem. We sat in silence for a moment. Then her voice broke again. So this is it, she asked. You're really just gonna walk away? I sighed. I already did. You're just now noticing. And I hung up. They ended up throwing the wedding together in some relative's backyard. No extravagant anything. No gourmet food. No towering flowers or professional photographer. Just a rushed setup with whatever they could find at the last minute. I heard my sister spent the whole day trying not to cry. Couldn't even bring herself to enjoy it, too embarrassed, too proud to admit she'd dug her own hole. I didn't reach out. Didn't text. Didn't check in. I let them figure it out on their own, finally. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I felt free. 1 year later. It took months for my parents to fully realize I wasn't bluffing. That I wasn't about to change my mind. First, they tried guilt-tripping me. Then came the angry voicemails. After that, silence. Now they tread lightly. Like they finally understand that if they push me too far, I won't just walk, I'll disappear for good. As for my sister, she never apologized. Not once. But she also never asked me for another dime. I call that a win. And me? I'm still here. Still running my business. Still doing just fine. Only difference is, every dollar I make now stays mine.